The world speaks of goodness as a virtue, a light we should all carry, a path we should all walk. We are taught to be kind, to be generous, to offer our hand, our heart, our time. And this is not wrong. This inclination, this deep human desire to connect, to alleviate suffering, to contribute to something larger than ourselves, it is a sacred impulse. But what if I told you that this very virtue, pursued without wisdom, without discernment, without a profound understanding of its true mechanics, carries a shocking silent cost? A price paid not in coin, but in energy, in presence, in the very essence of your being. A debt that, left unchecked, can leave you hollow, exhausted, and strangely less capable of the very goodness you seek to embody. This is not a common conversation. This is not the easy path. But if you are ready to look beyond the surface, if you are prepared to understand the true stewardship required for genuine compassion, then I urge you, do not miss a single moment of what follows. You won't want to miss the final habit, or 99% will miss the last tip and will be stuck with the unending depletion of goodness for life. O silent burden, we are constantly urged to give. Give more time, more empathy, more understanding, more of ourselves. And in a world that often feels fractured, this call to compassion rings with undeniable truth. We see suffering, we witness injustice, we encounter individuals in need, and a natural human instinct arises to extend, to soothe, to mend. This impulse is noble. It is the very fabric of a functioning society. But how often do we truly stop to consider the weight that this constant extension places upon us? The silent burden that accumulates unseen, unheard, until it manifests as an ache in the soul, a weariness that sleep cannot fully alleviate. Imagine yourself as a well, a deep, clear well, providing life-sustaining water to all who approach. Your nature is to give, to nourish. And so you give. Day after day, bucket after bucket, you share your precious resource. The initial joy of giving is immense. You see the relief in thirsty eyes, the growth in parched earth, the vitality you bring forth. This is the reward, the affirmation of your goodness. But what happens if the well is never replenished? What happens if, in your earnest desire to serve, you forget the fundamental truth that a well, no matter how deep, has limits? It too draws from an underground spring, a source that must flow. If that source is blocked, if it is depleted faster than it can refill, the well will eventually run dry. Not suddenly, not with a dramatic collapse, but slowly, imperceptibly, until one day the bucket returns empty. This is the silent burden of goodness misunderstood. It is the cumulative drain of unfiltered empathy, of unexamined self-sacrifice, of boundaries unheld. It is the quiet exhaustion that settles in your bones when you consistently prioritize the perceived needs of others above your own fundamental requirement for replenishment. It is the subtle shift from genuine compassion, which flows from a place of strength and abundance, to a form of people-pleasing, fueled by a fear of rejection, a need for validation, or a misguided sense of obligation. You may still offer kindness, still extend a hand, but the essence, the pure, vibrant energy behind the gesture, has diminished. The water is still offered, but it carries less life. This burden, if not acknowledged and addressed, becomes a profound obstacle to the very goodness you aspire to embody. It is the cost paid in your own vitality, in your own inner peace, in your own capacity to truly serve. Thus, the hidden price. The price of unmanaged goodness is often paid in currencies we don't immediately recognize. It manifests not as a receipt or a bill, but as a creeping erosion of your inner landscape. One of the most significant costs is the depletion of your energetic reserves. Every act of giving, every moment of empathy, every emotional investment draws from a finite pool of energy. This isn't just physical energy, it's mental clarity, emotional resilience, spiritual vitality. When this pool is constantly tapped without conscious replenishment, you begin to operate on fumes. Decision-making becomes harder, patience wears thin, and the ability to focus diminishes. You might find yourself snapping at loved ones, feeling overwhelmed by trivial tasks, or struggling to find joy in things that once brought you happiness. This is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of a system in overload. a deep internal cry for balance. Another hidden price is the erosion of personal boundaries. When the desire to be good overrides the wisdom of self-preservation, your inner walls, your protective mechanisms begin to crumble. You find yourself saying yes when every fiber of your being screams no. You take on responsibilities that are not yours, absorb emotional burdens that do not belong to you, and allow others to dictate your time and energy. This isn't generosity. It's an invitation for exploitation. It communicates subtly but powerfully that your time, your needs, your well-being are secondary. Over time, this leads to resentment, a bitter, unspoken anger that poisons the well of your spirit. You might begin to blame others for taking advantage, when in truth, you were the one who left the door wide open. The absence of clear boundaries transforms your inherent goodness into an unsustainable burden, making you vulnerable to the demands of the world rather than a conscious participant in it. Perhaps the most insidious hidden price is the loss of authentic self. When you are constantly striving to meet external expectations of what goodness looks like, you risk losing touch with your true desires, your genuine needs, your unique voice. You become a chameleon, adapting to the perceived needs of others, forgetting who you are when no one else is watching. This can lead to a profound sense of emptiness, a feeling of being disconnected from your own core. You might find yourself questioning your purpose, feeling adrift, or realizing that the life you've built is not truly your own. The very essence of self-mastery, of cultivating a strong inner foundation, is to know yourself deeply. But when your goodness is directed outwards without first rooting within, that connection is severed. You become a reflection of what others expect, rather than a shining beacon of your own unique light. This is the shocking cost. This is the hidden price. And until it is recognized, until it is understood, the cycle of depletion will continue, silently chipping away at the very being you seek to cultivate. Empty cup. To understand the true cost of goodness, you must first understand the fundamental principle of the empty cup. It is a deceptively simple metaphor, yet its depth holds profound wisdom for sustainable living and authentic contribution. Imagine a cup. This cup represents your inner reservoir of energy, clarity, emotional resilience, and spiritual presence. It is what allows you to engage with the world, to think, to feel, to act. Now picture yourself pouring from this cup, offering its contents to others, your time, your attention, your compassion, your support. Each act of giving, each extension of self is a pour. This is natural, this is virtuous. But here is the critical insight. You cannot pour from an empty cup. It is a physical impossibility. Yet in our relentless pursuit of goodness, many of us attempt precisely this. We continue to try and pour even when our cup is bone dry. What happens then? The gesture might still be there, the intention might still be noble, but the substance is missing. The offering becomes hollow. You might show up, but you are not truly present. You might offer advice, but it lacks the clarity of true wisdom. You might attempt to soothe, but your own inner turmoil betrays the effort. The act becomes forced, strained, and ultimately less effective. Moreover, the effort to pour from an empty cup is profoundly depleting. It doesn't just fail to help, it actively harms you, drawing on reserves that do not exist, creating a deficit that grows with each futile attempt. The first, and perhaps most crucial habit for navigating the cost of goodness is cultivating radical self-awareness. This is the practice of constantly, consciously checking the level of your cup. It means developing a deep, intimate understanding of your own internal state, your energy levels, your emotional landscape, your mental bandwidth. It requires you to ask yourself with brutal honesty, where am I truly right now? Am I operating from a place of genuine abundance or from a place of depletion? This isn't about navel-gazing or selfishness, it's about accurate self-assessment, which is the foundation for effective action. Just as a pilot checks their fuel gauge before a flight, you must check your internal gauge before engaging in significant acts of giving. This practice involves pausing. It involves introspection. It involves recognizing the subtle signals your body and mind send you. The creeping fatigue, the rising irritation, the scattered thoughts, the hollow feeling. Most of us push past these signals, viewing them as inconveniences rather than vital information. But these are your internal alerts, telling you that your cup needs attention. Cultivating radical self-awareness means honoring these signals, understanding that they are not impediments to goodness, but rather essential guides to sustainable goodness. It is the recognition that true altruism begins with a realistic assessment of your own capacity, ensuring that when you do pour, it is from a place of genuine strength, not desperate obligation. This habit, simple in concept but challenging in practice, is the bedrock upon which all other sustainable acts of giving are built. Neglect it, and the cycle of depletion will inevitably continue. Embrace it, and you begin the journey towards a life of profound, authentic, and truly impactful goodness. Sacred yes. We live in a culture that often equates constant availability and unending agreeableness with goodness. To say no is often perceived as selfish, uncaring, or unhelpful. Yet, the ability to discern, to protect, and to intentionally direct your energy is not a flaw. It is a profound act of self-stewardship and, paradoxically, a prerequisite for genuine, sustainable contribution. This leads us to the second habit, embracing the sacred yes through disciplined boundaries. This is not about building walls to keep the world out. It is about cultivating a conscious perimeter that defines where your energy begins and ends, allowing you to engage with intentionality, not obligation. Consider a garden. A beautiful, vibrant garden needs sunlight, water, and fertile soil, but it also needs a fence. Not to keep everyone out, but to protect its delicate ecosystem from being trampled, from unwanted intrusions, from the chaos of the outside world. The fence defines its space, allowing the garden to flourish, to bear fruit, to be truly abundant. Without that boundary, the garden would quickly be overrun, its resources depleted, its beauty destroyed. Your inner world, your energy, your time, these are your sacred garden. To leave it unfenced, open to every demand, every request, every perceived need, is to invite its eventual destruction. A sacred yes is not just saying yes to something, it is the profound understanding that every yes to one thing is an inherent no to countless others. When you say yes to taking on another task, you are saying no to your rest, your creative time, your personal reflection. When you say yes to absorbing someone else's emotional drama without protecting your own space, you are saying no to your inner peace, your emotional clarity. The power, therefore, lies not just in the no, but in the intentionality behind your yes. A sacred yes means that when you commit, it comes from a place of full presence, genuine desire, and a clear assessment of your capacity, cultivated through your radical self-awareness. Implementing disciplined boundaries requires courage. It means confronting the discomfort of disappointing others, the fear of being perceived as uncooperative, or even the guilt that society often implants around self-care. But here is the truth. Your no to what does not serve your highest good is a yes to your capacity to truly serve. It is a yes to your energy, your focus, your ability to show up fully when it truly matters. It means recognizing that you are not limitless and that to pretend otherwise is to diminish your actual potential. Practicing this habit means learning to communicate your limits clearly, kindly, and without apology. It means understanding that your time and energy are precious resources to be allocated with the wisdom of a skilled steward, not carelessly squandered. When you honor your boundaries, you are not being selfish. You are engaging in an act of deep reverence for yourself, and in doing so, you paradoxically enhance your capacity for authentic goodness in the world. This is the power of the sacred yes. Bem-tu in recevoir. To offer true goodness, to extend genuine compassion, you must first possess an unwavering inner strength. This strength does not come from endlessly pushing forward, but from the disciplined practice of replenishment. Just as a warrior sharpens their sword before battle, or a musician tunes their instrument before a performance, you must actively restore your inner resources. This brings us to the third essential habit, cultivating your inner reservoir through intentional replenishment. This goes far beyond mere rest. It is a strategic, conscious effort to refill your cup, not just to avoid emptiness, but to create an overflow from which you can truly give. Think of an ancient irrigation system. It doesn't just draw water from a source, it collects, stores, and channels it, ensuring a consistent supply to the fields. Your inner reservoir is similar. It's not just about stopping the drain, it's about actively building up your reserves. This involves a holistic approach, addressing not just physical fatigue, but mental exhaustion, emotional depletion, and spiritual hunger. Many mistake self-care for indulgence, a fleeting luxury when time permits. This is a profound miscalculation. Intentional replenishment is not a luxury. It is a non-negotiable requirement for anyone who seeks to live a life of meaning and impact. It is the fuel that allows your goodness to burn brightly rather than flicker and fade. What does intentional replenishment look like? It is deeply personal, but certain universal principles apply. For the physical body, it is truly restful sleep, nourishing movement, and wholesome food. But critically, it's also about mindful stillness. For the mind, it means periods of disconnection from constant stimulation. No phone, no news, no demands. It involves contemplative practices, reading meaningful texts, engaging in deep thinking, or simply allowing your mind to wander without immediate purpose. For emotions, it means processing feelings, acknowledging them without judgment, and allowing space for their natural ebb and flow. It can be through journaling, talking with a trusted confidant, or simply sitting in quiet contemplation. For the spirit, it is connection to something larger than yourself, nature, art, meditation, prayer, or simply a deep appreciation for existence. The key word here is intentional. This isn't passive rest, it's active restoration. It's a deliberate scheduling of practices that nourish you, even when the world is screaming for your attention. It's understanding that the hour you spend in quiet meditation, or a walk in nature, or focused creative work is not an hour lost from your responsibilities. It is an hour invested, compounding interest into your energetic capital, making you exponentially more effective and resilient when you return to your acts of giving. This is the deep wisdom of the inner reservoir. You are not a machine meant to operate endlessly. You are a complex living system that requires nurturing, maintenance, and regular refilling. When you prioritize this, when you treat your own well-being as a sacred trust, you transform your capacity for goodness from a fleeting flicker into a steady, radiant flame, capable of illuminating the darkest corners of the world without diminishing your own light. This is the path of true strength, a wise discernment. Not all acts perceived as good are truly beneficial, either for the giver or the receiver. This is a profound and often uncomfortable truth. Our innate desire to help can, without conscious examination, lead us down paths of misguided effort, enabling unhealthy patterns, or simply draining our own resources without creating genuine impact. This brings us to the fourth essential habit: practicing wise discernment. This is the art of distinguishing between true compassion, which empowers and uplifts, and mere reactive altruism or even people-pleasing, which often leaves everyone involved depleted or dependent. Consider the metaphor of a skilled physician. A physician's desire is to heal, but they do not simply administer any treatment blindly. They first diagnose, they assess the patient's true condition, they understand the underlying cause of the ailment. They discern what is truly needed versus what might appear to be needed. Sometimes, the most compassionate act is to allow the patient to heal themselves, to provide guidance and tools rather than a quick fix. Sometimes, the most helpful intervention is not direct action, but holding a boundary that encourages the other person to develop their own strength. Without this wise discernment, the physician, despite good intentions, might inadvertently cause more harm than good, or simply waste their precious energy on ineffective treatments. Wise discernment for your own goodness means asking deeper questions before you engage. So 1. What is my true intention here? Am I acting from a place of genuine compassion, a desire to empower, or am I seeking external validation, trying to avoid conflict or alleviating my own discomfort? Is it coming from a place of strength, or is it a reactive impulse? 2. Is this truly my responsibility? Have I assessed if this person or situation genuinely needs my intervention, or am I overstepping boundaries, taking on burdens that belong to others, or preventing someone from learning their own lessons? 3. What is the long-term impact of my action? Am I offering a temporary band-aid, or am I contributing to a sustainable solution? Am I enabling dependence or fostering self-reliance? 4. Do I have the capacity? Have I checked my inner reservoir? Am I pouring from an empty cup or from a place of genuine abundance? This habit requires a deep level of introspection and a willingness to challenge your own assumptions about goodness. It means understanding that true compassion is not always soft or agreeable. Sometimes it demands firmness, honesty, and the courage to step back. It means recognizing that your greatest contribution might not be to always say yes, but to empower others to find their own yes. It is the difference between blindly throwing water on a fire and strategically applying it where it will truly extinguish the flames, or even better, prevent the fire from starting in the first place by educating about fire safety. Practicing wise discernment liberates you from the burden of indiscriminate giving. It allows you to focus your precious energy where it will have the most profound and authentic impact. It transforms your goodness from a reactive response into a conscious, strategic, and deeply effective force. This is not about being cynical. It is about being wise. It is about understanding that true power, true service, comes from clarity and precision, not from boundless, undirected effort. Cultivate this discernment, and your acts of goodness will carry weight, depth, and true transformative potential, rather than becoming just another drain on your precious self. Thus, measured giving, with awareness of your cup, the courage to hold boundaries, the discipline to replenish, and the wisdom to discern, you are now prepared for the 5th habit: engaging in measured giving. This is the culmination of the previous practices, transforming your goodness from a potentially depleting force into a sustainable, potent, and truly impactful presence in the world. Measured giving is not about stinginess, it is about strategic generosity. It is understanding that your resources, your time, your energy, your compassion are precious and finite, and therefore must be allocated with precision, not simply showered indiscriminately. Consider the example of a master archer. Their intention is to hit the target. They do not loose arrows wildly in every direction hoping to strike something. Instead, they carefully select their arrow, draw the bowstring with controlled power, aim with unwavering focus, and release with deliberate precision. Each arrow is a measured act, maximized for impact. Their power is not in the sheer volume of arrows shot, but in the accuracy and intention behind each one. Your acts of goodness, your extensions of self, should be like the arrow of a master archer, carefully chosen, powerfully intended, and precisely aimed for maximum authentic effect. Measured giving means you no longer operate from a place of guilt or obligation. Instead, you act from a place of empowered choice. It means consciously deciding how much to give, to whom, and in what manner, based on your self-awareness, your boundaries, your replenished reservoir, and your wise discernment. It could manifest in various ways. 1. Allocating specific giving windows. Instead of being perpetually available, designate specific times or days when you intentionally offer help or engage in community service, knowing that outside these windows, your energy is protected for replenishment or other priorities. 2. Defining the scope of your help. When someone asks for assistance, clarify what you can and cannot offer. Instead of an open-ended, "How can I help?" offer specific, manageable solutions. I can dedicate an hour to this, or I can offer advice, but not direct involvement. 3. Empowering, not enabling. Focus your giving on helping others develop their own strength and self-sufficiency, rather than creating dependency. Provide tools, guidance, or opportunities for growth, rather than simply solving their problems for them. 4. Prioritizing impact. Direct your energy towards areas where you can truly make a difference, where your unique skills and resources align with a genuine need, rather than scattering your efforts thinly across countless causes. This habit requires continuous practice and adjustment. It is a dynamic process of calibration. It asks you to constantly evaluate, is this the most effective use of my goodness? Am I creating genuine value or simply dissipating my energy? The result of measured giving is not less goodness, but more potent. Goodness, you become a beacon of thoughtful, powerful compassion, not a flickering light of exhaustion. Your contributions carry weight because they come from a place of deep strength and conscious choice. You transform from a reactive giver into a strategic force for positive change, embodying a goodness that is not only profound for others, but sustainable and enriching for yourself. This is the ultimate expression of the shocking cost of goodness turned into profound, sustainable power. True strength. We began this journey by examining the shocking cost of goodness, the silent burden, the hidden price exacted when our noble intentions are pursued without wisdom. We spoke of depletion, erosion of boundaries, and the loss of authentic self. But this is not a message to retreat from compassion, nor to hoard your energy in isolation. Quite the opposite. This is a path to true strength. A disciplined, profound strength that empowers you to embody goodness not as a sacrifice, but as a sustainable, vibrant force. This strength is forged in the crucible of self-awareness, disciplined boundaries, intentional replenishment, wise discernment, and measured giving. Imagine a towering bamboo tree. It appears delicate, yielding to every gust of wind. Yet it stands firm against the fiercest storms. Its strength is not in rigidity, but in its deep roots, its flexible nature, and its constant internal growth. It bends, but it does not break. It gives, but it is not emptied. This is the essence of true strength in goodness, an inner resilience that allows you to engage fully with the world's challenges without losing your center, without being consumed by the demands placed upon you. Your goodness becomes like the bamboo, deeply rooted, flexible, and capable of enduring.